by bookmakers.com.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the LFC Daytrippers. I'm Gav, and with me this week is Pete. It is winners and losers. It is two winners and two losers from the Premier League this weekend. Now, we've done it a bit different this week. We picked 4 winners and 4 losers. We stuck into a poll on Twitter. We set it out there, and the winners and losers came back. So we did not choose them. We just threw them out there, and the public chose them, whatever it is. This show is brought to you by bookmakers.com. Check them out at that website for all your stats, your analysis, your articles, all that sort of stuff if you don't gamble. If you do gamble, sure, you can read all them as well. But you can also get all the best odds on all the sports from all the bookies. But remember to do so responsibly. So that's bookmakers.com. We'll talk about our charity stuff later on. Now, P, how are you?
Grand. Top of the evening to you. It's getting hot over here, and I hope it's not raining where you guys are.
It's always raining here. We thunder and lightning yesterday, swear to God. It was lovely out yesterday, right? About 1 o'clock here yesterday, I was in the house and I was like, jeez, that's a lovely day out. And next of all I heard, what was that? And next thing, the thunder was just unbelievable, right? And then lightning, and then just the rain just hopped down for about 40 minutes non-stop. And then it was lovely again, and then it came back later. So yeah, it's horrendous over here. It always is, me. You know this.
Nothing worse. Look, they say it rains somewhere in Ireland every day, but don't we have the best golf courses? And I know that you're showing everybody out there because of the weather that we have. What an amazing thing you're doing as well. I'm really loving bang average golf. It's amazing. Anyone that's not into it, go on.
It's really good. It got better this week. I'm being honest with you. I'm only doing this update because you love it and you always mention when you come on. It got better this week. We've 3 videos out this week. We've one coming out. I'm literally working on it now. I should have it out by around midnight, probably 1 in the morning when I'm finished it. But this is a long one. This is about 40 minutes long, I think. But it's we have a guest on for the first time, which is brilliant. It's tag team golf. That's all I'm going to say. And it's 6 holes of golf. It's really, really good. There's a lot of messing goes on, a lot of tactics go on. We have got the pro stuff coming during the week where our pro down Kieran is going to be hitting fairway woods, and when you see him hit this is ridiculous. And then we have by the end of the week we should have another video out with the 3 lads the 3 of us that were there the other day, playing alternate shots and getting very upset with each other. Me and Neely have a stand-up row for no reason. So make sure to check that out. But I will say the one that's coming out tomorrow, you will see 2 brilliant shots in it. 2 brilliant shots of golf you will see in this one coming out tomorrow. Yeah, 100%. Where do you see it? But anyway, winners and losers. Oh, bang average golf. Go and subscribe and do whatever.
Yeah, please. It's great crack. I mean, Gav is obviously golf obsessed. But for me, that kind of dips in and out. And for anyone out there that is not confident with a club in their hand, just enjoy it. It's very calm and very relaxing, and the banter, as usual with these boys, is top notch.
Well, we have the guest that comes on with us this week is Joe. He's a long term friend of mine. I grew up with him, and he was nervous coming on. And we're in a couple of shots. He was like, "This is great." Do you know what I mean? It's just lads playing golf. There just happens to be a camera there. So now check it out. The link is in the description, I think, or you can bang average golf. You can't miss it. But let's get on to winners and losers. As I said, the public have picked the winners and losers this week, and we're going to start with a winner, because the word coming out is that Graeme Souness is one of our winners of the week. It looks like that was his last broadcast with Sky Sports yesterday at Anfield. I haven't read too much into this. I'm presuming he's not going somewhere else to do something else. It might be just Graeme Souness deciding that's enough. I'll retire and enjoy the rest of my days. What do you make of him as a pundit?
I like Graeme Souness. I think he talks about the game the way he played it. 2 feet, doesn't suffer anyone. You can actually tell by the fellas he's in the studio with who responds to him and who he responds to. I think him and Roy when they're together, have a great understanding. He's not into when, for example, one of the actual Sky Sports workers, if you will, non-football people, when they kind of try to clash out, you can see he's not into that at all. I love that about him. As much as I'm as everybody knows, a very woke person, and I believe in all this, I love, there's part of us all that's old school, and I love that about Graeme Souness. He's respectful, but the thing I love about him the most is, he's the acknowledgement of some of the errors. I mean, he's continuously going on about the regrets he has about, his time at Liverpool. I love Graeme Souness, and you can see the way Sky Sports, the direction that it's going in, and listen, it's great inclusivity and all, but people like Graeme are a casualty of that, to be honest with you. And I think it's not for the betterment of the football conversation. I think he's fantastic, and someone that wore the boots, won the trophies, done everything, done it all at every level. You'll be a big miss.
A lot of people, when they see Graeme Souness that he's leaving Sky and stuff like that, like they'll just look at Graeme Souness as who they've seen on the TV. They might remember him as a manager. Like he's managed Liverpool, he's managed Southampton, Blackburn. Wasn't he over in Portugal at some stage? He was definitely in Turkey when he was planting flags in the middle of it, in the middle of pitches and stuff like that. But there's two sides to Graeme Souness for me. One, the player, and I've relied on footage of Graeme Souness. I'm going to be honest. I was born in '82. He leaves Liverpool in '84, I think. But when I speak to Liverpool fans, and even football fans in general, like even my own father, I've said before, is a United fan, when you couple the footage you've seen with talking to guys that are probably 10, 20 years older than you, you know what I mean? And they talk about Graeme Souness, whether they're Liverpool fans or not, they tell you what a player he was. And to this day, if you say what player could go into this Liverpool team, when they're at full flight, who would improve them, Graeme Souness is one of the first names that comes up, because he was a lunatic. He was a lunatic, like afraid of nobody, not afraid to take a challenge, give a challenge. Anything that went on, he was up for it. But he was a magnificent footballer as well. His range of passing, the engine on him, strength, good in the air, score goals. He was a brilliant, brilliant footballer. The problem I think he has with Sky is I think he's becoming the odd man out. And we're going to touch on Sky later on, but I think he is, because the generation we're in now, less and less football opinions matter now. That's my opinion. If you have an actual football opinion, someone might listen to you and go, yeah. But if you have an outrageous one for the sake of it, you will get a lot more traction. And Sky are going that way. There's no doubt about that. And I'm not talking about people that are on big on social media getting, time on Sky Sports or Sky Sports News. I'm talking about people that are employed by Sky are going down that route. And you probably know who I'm speaking about when I do that. Graeme Souness just doesn't fit for me the way Sky are going. He's actually a brilliant thinker of the game. He both on and off the pitch, people's outlook, people's attitude and stuff like that. And he brings it across really well. Roy Keane is no idiot. But Roy Keane, the way he brings it across is like, fuck off, Roy, will you? You know what I mean? Everything has to be, basically comparing himself to whatever's going on. And, it's a bit weird. But Souness, I don't think he fits in. I think he'd be, I don't know, he's not, like, Paul says there, he's off to do charity work apparently, which is amazing. He's, what age is Souness? He must be
60, 66 maybe, I would imagine.
He'd be mid-60s, wouldn't
he? Yeah.
And to see him in mid-60s going off to charity work is amazing. Sky will be a lesser place without him. But I just don't think he fits with Sky. I just don't think he fits.
69.
69, yeah, okay. So touching 70 years of age. Could you see him going and doing it somewhere else? Or is there anywhere out there that fits Graeme Souness?
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, if you look at, and I'd hate to see him because I can't stand either of them. I could see him maybe going out to Abu Dhabi to work with Andy Gray and Richard Keys, to be honest. And he would deserve a payday like that. He talks more sense than either of those guys. I could see him being offered that, but I can't see him taking it. I believe, I watch Graeme Souness closely, like yourself, Gav, and I think he's one of those lads that's actually turned the corner in his life. I seen a very interesting interview with him talking about homophobia in the game, and he's really, you can see that he feels the weight of being on the other side of the coin. Quite frankly, probably slagging off lads that he thought were a little bit, little bit ginger in some guys' parents, and I think he feels the guilt. He can see by the way he talks about things like that. We should have been more responsible with people. We should have looked after people more and stuff. So it doesn't surprise me that he's talking about doing charity work. I genuinely, I've never had the pleasure, unfortunately, of meeting him, but he looks to me like, if you see interviews with Graeme Souness now, and you compare them to even quotes and interviews 20 years ago, it's like two different men. I think he's had his road to Damascus moment, and as much as you're dead right, he's the odd man out at Sky. He probably, like, he went out to Qatar in the World Cup, and he stood on a soapbox about it, and I was shocked. I was looking at this. I mean, he doesn't have to do this, but he spoke at length about how it's just wrong and la la. He wanted people to know, okay, I'm here, I'm getting paid to be here, but what goes on here is not right. And he was the last one that I would expect not. I honestly think that he's changed as a human being, which it's never too late to change. Because obviously, the game was molded around characters like him. I think he's a different man now, more tolerant man, and I think he wants to actually make a difference in life. At Sky, as you're dead right, Gav, you pointed out, Sky is not somewhere you'll make a difference. They'll nod and a wink. There's a few token people working at Sky. They have a lot of black anchors. They have, some members of the LGBT community. But it feels like a token gesture, to be quite honest with you. They're not. There's very few sensible comments coming from some of these people. If I'm honest with you, I don't care if the whole crew is white and middle aged. If they make sense, they make sense. I want to see people that make sense from the LGBT community about, and people that make sense when they're talking about, females when they're talking about football. And you're right, for a number of reasons he's become the odd man out. But yeah, I think he'll do the charity thing. I think he's changed as a human being. I can't see him doing anything else after Sky.
I think in hindsight, you could probably see it coming, because I've seen Souness on a couple of occasions, especially when Liverpool beat United 7-0 at Anfield, where he was making points about thing and other lads sniggering, the sort of way, like, because that's what you're meant to do now. You're meant to snigger at people, when they give opinion, and it's meant to be all blown up 24/7 a day, 24/7. It has to be all mayhem. And I've seen him a couple of times on Sky where he makes a point and someone comes back at him and he's looking at the person going, "Are you for real?" That sort of way. So in hindsight, you're probably seeing it coming a little bit. I think he's getting out at the right time, because I think the way football punditry is going, it's just awful. It's just genuinely awful. You know what I mean? There's very little difference now between what you would read on Twitter and what you would see in a studio nowadays. Souness, someone says there, dirties his bib a little bit. He does with Liverpool fans because of interviews he done with the Sun newspaper. I think, I think that will always kind of be held against him, and I think he's apologised endlessly for it. But at the same time, I think it's something that will be slightly held against him. But as a footballer, you can't doubt him, and as a pundit, I think he's been excellent. Like, I think his favourite time as a pundit was probably doing it with RTE in Ireland here, and that was like just madness. Do you know what I mean? He couldn't, and he's quoted as saying, like, I couldn't believe what was going on, what these boys were saying, and it wasn't in the sense of these are just being outrageous. They were saying stuff and making great points, but using a language that he just was like, you wouldn't get away with this in the UK. Like, so if you ever get a chance to go back and look at some of the clips of Graeme Souness on RTE, him, Dunphy, Giles, Bill O'Hurley, absolutely madness. Do you know what I mean? Just Hannes has gave an interview to the Sun, but seems to genuinely regret it. And Emmett Kavanagh says he claimed himself that that's one of his few regrets in his career. I get that, but Graeme Souness is no idiot. And going to the Sun or going near the Sun after what happened at Hillsborough is just...
There's no excuse for it.
It's a very easy decision to make not to do it.
The only thing I'd say is when Graeme left the club, there was a lot of bitterness there. A lot of bitterness. And I'm not going to cover. I'm not going to, because we all know. I mean, it hurts us still. In many ways. My day after my birthday, I'll never forget it. But I think, not to excuse him, but I understand what he was going through at the time. I'm not saying he was sticking two fingers up at the club, because I don't think he would do that even in his worst moments. But what strikes me about him as a man is he's constantly talking about the regrets that he has. Constantly. I think Graeme Souness is tortured about his time. I mean, you forget when he took over Liverpool, he was relatively young. I think he was 38. And it's hard to imagine Graeme Souness as a young.
Yeah,
But
I know,
he's in his late 30s.
I know, but
He hasn't finished playing.
he comes away from Rangers after a brilliant period at Rangers and comes to Liverpool, and I think there's multiple regrets from Liverpool. One, he tries to change things too quickly.
Too quick.
He
Winning
tried
game.
not both in personnel, but the way the club was being run, and it's just a nightmare. And then the whole Sun thing and LFC and the chassis, you just don't do that.
Yeah,
You
and he's
simply-
right.
you
LFC are
simply
dead
don't
right.
do it. I fully agree with you. When I look at Graeme Souness, I think an absolutely outstanding footballer. I think an appalling Liverpool manager, a brilliant pundit, but he made a cardinal sin for as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, time will probably ease that. It's 34ish years. Well, it's not that. It's just under 30 years, I think, since he done the interview, and time may heal that, but it's still something for me that when I look at Graeme Souness, it will still be there on his CV as such. He's a winner of the week though, because he's had a really good career at Sky. I think he's a really good pundit. If he's going on to do charity work, more power to him. Fair play to him, because I'm sure, like you said, he could be offered a hell of a lot of money somewhere to continue on what he's doing, but he's not. If he's going to do charity work, brilliant. Fair play to him, and the best of luck to him.
I
He's
mean, in
70 years of
dignity,
age.
he's dignified. He's a very dignified man. I mean, I look at, like, the other two that went out there, Gray and the other Egypt. There's no dignity in it, and they went to a country where it's acceptable, to be honest with you, to behave with females the way they behave and spoke about females. To be quite honest with you, and that's telling. Souness won't do that. Souness will. I think he's probably, and I hope I'm right, but I think it's a penance thing with Souness. I think he feels that he has to make up for an awful lot. I hope he's very comfortable financially for everything that he gave to the sport, and more power to him. I look at him and I think that's somebody who has made mistakes, but we should all look at him and go, wow, what a man, what a player he was, and a legend, winner.
Just Hannah says at Southampton he also signed that Rondo off the street, the guy who claimed to be George Weah's cousin. He did. What was his name again?
Ali Dia.
Ali
The
Dia.
problem,
Ali
the
Dia.
problem there is, as a manager,
It's a brilliant story,
Yeah.
because like he's just like, yeah, I got told he was George Weah's cousin. Put him on about 50 minutes later. He couldn't get him off the pitch quick enough.
No, he got a phone call. He got a phone call from somebody pretending to be George Weah. And as a manager, listen, Southampton were fighting relegation at the time, looking for somebody to stick the ball in the back of the net. George Weah rings you. You bring in the lad. Apparently, he did okay in training. Training is not that intense at Premier League level. Still isn't. In the days before the match. And Ali Dia had chances in the game. He actually had chances. So he was doing something right. Do you know what I mean?
It's a brilliant story, in fairness. But look, we'll move on. He is a winner of the week. Let's move on to some losers. I'm going to go with Richarlison. So that's Richarlison was voted as a loser of the week in our poll on Twitter. If you don't like the results of this, watch out for the next week. We might continue on with this, and you can pick the winners and losers. But like, it was fucking hilarious, Pete. As much as I was fuming about, like, even we'd won the game, I was still fuming about Liverpool overall. Richarlison and the 90 seconds or whatever that's involved, and the videos that come out off the back of it, like, he must have wanted the ground to swallow him up. He.
Do you know what? If I was making a movie tomorrow about a cliche footballer, I would cast Richarlison, as an actor. Well, 'cause he certainly isn't a player. I mean, for everything from the tattoos to the mannerisms to the terrible attitude to the overrated self opinions on his very, very limited ability. For me, he's Tony Cascarino with a Brazilian passport, and he's one of those kids that just doesn't. It's beautiful. I just think you knew when he was warming up when he came on. Oh, he's gonna do something, but I mean, it's just beautiful. I mean, we've seen it to death, and we'll all watch it to death. His face, he's the lad is a cliche. Now, don't get me wrong, he's going to be very wealthy, and the clubs will always take a chance on him. But for 16 million quid, to have to have one Premier League goal I mean, the fact that he went to Spurs as a number 9 as well, knowing that Harry Kane was there, tells you everything you need to know about Richarlison and his mentality. It's beautiful. I hope long may the show continue, because we need a funny sideshow like Richarlison. To be honest, he's comic relief, not a threat. Yeah, he got into the right area yesterday, but it was a bit of a comedy goal. We're defensively a bit of a shambles, but the comedy then rolled on 60 odd seconds later.
The thing is, like, I seen a stat yesterday. Richarlison has been booked 3 times for taking his jersey off celebrating, and he only has 1 goal this season, which is phenomenal, right? When he comes on in our Telegram group, I think it was when someone said straight away, "This fella's scoring. This fella's 100% scoring," because the way the game was going, Liverpool just took their foot off the pedal after about 25, just couldn't get back on it. Spurs, they couldn't be any worse than they were in the 15 minutes. But he comes on, right? Now, I've no problem with Richarlison scoring a goal. I've no problem with Richarlison celebrating. But the funniest thing for me in the whole lot was, right, he scores, right? And you're kind of looking at him, and he's up on the barrier, and he's doing his dance, and he's shushing the crowd, and he's giving it the big one, right? And Jota goes and scores, right? But when you look back at it, the nerve of him to score his 4th goal in the Spurs' 34th game of the season, right? And go on as if he's just completed a hat-trick in the last minute to win a big game. That's the funny bit of it all. And I think like, if that was Liverpool and we got that goal, I want the fella to be celebrating, but I want him to pick the ball out of the net and go, "Come on."
No,
do you know what I mean?
Running back. Exactly.
You know what I mean? I want to be going, right, I got a goal, right? I've been a disgrace all fucking season. I've got a goal. But give it the fist to the bleeding Spurs fans, pick up the ball and go, "Come on, we go and get another goal." No, he had to have his moment in the sun and make it out as if like he just fucking beaten, Erling Haaland's Premier League record or something. It was absolutely unreal from him. And then Jota scores, and his face was just priceless, because he's looking and going, "Oh, that's gone in," and then he doesn't know what to do, and then he can't help it. The reaction is to just hands on the head. You know what I mean? But have you seen some of the videos and stuff going around today?
Yeah, there's a few Spurs fans. As you know, I have a lot of friends at Spurs, and a few of the live podcast that they subscribe to. One of the lads has his back to the screen and he's giving it the what character from Tottenham Hotspur. Typical Spurs. We're not playing well, but we've got a bit of. Meanwhile, Jota is on the ground.
I've seen this one. Is this the fella? He calls himself the People's Pundit.
Yeah, he doesn't look like the.
And he has like a microphone, but he has sellotape on it. Sky Sports sellotape onto it.
He's obviously not the full chilling, bless him.
But he was brilliant. It's like, you see a man and he's like, yeah. And you talk about Spurs and they have commitment, man, and they have this, and like literally behind them, the goal is going in, and he's like, and then he just. Yeah, and then he turns. He actually turns and looks at the screen while Klopp is celebrating. He's like, "Look at Klopp. He's losing his head. He's losing his head." And it's like, "No, he's celebrating me." And then he turns around and he goes, "What?" And he puts the headphones back on. He goes, "Oh shit," you know what I mean? And then there was 2 lads in the studio, and we're like, "Yeah, brilliant," and they're singing Richarlison songs, and they're like, "We've time for a winner here." And then literally, as they say that, Jota scores. Tarek says I seriously almost died laughing watching the compilation reaction videos of the LFC Spurs game. The cardboard mics is actually, it was the cardboard microphone. It's like a microphone. He has blue and red cardboard around it with Sky like written in white or Tipex on it. It's absolutely phenomenal. It was the choreographed chicken dance with Son that did it for me, says Just Hannah. Travel is Life, says Gav. Have you seen Rick Shields' golf YouTube channel? That's also a great golfing channel. It's the biggest YouTube golfing channel ever. I think he's over 2 million subscribers. Is he having as much of a laugh as us? No, don't think so. But he's doing. It's a phenomenal thing he has. But it was absolutely insane, and Paul Gormley says it was a joke, lads. The one with the thing, yeah. I presume it is a joke, but the way it's done is absolutely brilliant. Do you know what I mean? It's like the other one. Going back a couple of weeks ago, there was one a couple of weeks ago, and I'll think of it in a minute. And it was brilliant the way it was done, and like people were like, "What is going on here?" But it was set up. But the ones in the studios with the sports fans were just.
And here, pristine studio, like when we used to do this live together, do you remember? And it was like, and you could see the effort and just the dancing and what makes it beautiful for me is when lads put in an effort, like in fairness, I know you don't like it, but Goldbridge, and when he falls apart, the two lads doing the dance and all, again, on their lovely fancy screens, Jurgen Klopp in the fourth official's face.
It was just I just couldn't get over, like when he scores I'm kind of looking going fucking prick, but I was kind of looking going, all right mate, relax, like I know it's a last minute equaliser, but you're going like he jumped up on the barrier as if he was the Messiah. Do you know what I mean?
The lack of self-awareness, and maybe it's a 2023 thing, I'm getting old, but there's a lack of, I mean, Ryan Mason, for him to turn around and say what he said, I mean, I know he's 31, but to turn around and say we were the better team by far, country mile, whatever, like, and again, it's a lack of self-awareness to jump up, as you quite rightly say. If that was me or anybody in that position, that was my first league goal, and it's May. I'm embarrassed. I'm almost hiding my face. I'm just grabbing the ball like I'm a centre half, running back towards the halfway line, saying, "What else can we do here?" Just I don't want the cameras on me because the force goal. You just don't want to be. But there's the lack of self awareness to be, and it's just the way football is now. It's like years ago you'd see consolations or even equalisers that didn't mean that much, and lads would be almost embarrassed. It's just. It says everything about guys. Like as I said, if I was casting a movie, Richarlison would be the one that I'd say, listen, you're going to play this part because just be you. Someone who has no awareness of what they've done or what impact they have or may not have had. And it's true. It's true. You get someone like Salah, for example, who's so humble in every situation. Yet he's pulling up trees. The most famous phrase on Twitter after him is "Only Mo Salah." And yeah, he's on his knees praising his God whenever he does what he does.
Well, I think someone's mentioned here Andy Cantwell. Andy Cantwell's been on this channel. I must get him on again soon, actually, because he's great crack. He's the man that does the Martin Tyler lip syncs. He's absolutely phenomenal. I'm presuming he has done something on this game. I haven't seen it because I haven't been on social media all day, to be quite honest with you. But I must go and look afterwards now and check out Andy Cantwell because his stuff is brilliant.
The problem is they're not giving him that much fodder for his content because Martin Tyler and Gary Neville go silent when Liverpool invariably they did it against Forest. They did it yesterday. They actually go silent when Jota scores. Because I think they're acutely aware of everyone knows we hate Liverpool, and they just don't give anything.
Just on what's his name, the Spurs standy and manager that stands in every 6 months, Ryan Mason. They weren't the better side yesterday. What happened yesterday was Liverpool pulled them asunder for 25 minutes, and they were lucky to be 3-0 down, and Liverpool decided to stop playing. Now. Yeah. If he wants to take himself off and say, yeah, you know what, we were the better team in that game, by all means go and do it if you want to believe that. But trust me, if he goes back and looks at that without his Spurs glasses on him, he'd realise Liverpool stopped playing there yesterday. And could have literally put Spurs 4 or 5 down after an hour yesterday if they wanted to.
Look,
And that's
and you're
that's the
right.
biggest. That's what I was annoyed over. And I said on the show last night, I felt that Liverpool robbed Spurs of a point, and I don't mean that in the case of Spurs were just amazing and Liverpool robbed it. That's not what it was. The reason I said they robbed them of a point was because they stopped playing for the vast majority of that game. Spurs took advantage without having to do a hell of a lot, to be perfectly honest,
Yeah.
and robbed it at the end. That's what Liverpool done. They robbed it at the end because Liverpool played for, let's be honest, 20, 30 minutes of that game max, right? They controlled parts of the second half and they were this, that and the other, but the actual Liverpool we're used to seeing playing did not turn up for 60%,
But
70% of that game yesterday.
we've been unprofessional this season. We've done that several times. I mean, I remember looking at it going, okay, when are they going to stop? Because that's the way we've been. And like, I know I've said this before, but there's a reason why Alex Ferguson changed his Manchester United teams at times when you didn't expect it. Because we knew that that type of complacency can happen. When you've been to the top of the mountain and then somebody says to you, listen, I want you to climb that mountain again, your mentality to climb that mountain changes. Stick a World Cup in the middle of that. And, you can get a few lads that are going, oh, I can't be arsed with this. And that's the problem. That's why Jurgen Klopp is a great, but Alex Ferguson arguably is one of the greatest of all time because he did things that you didn't expect and that you probably wouldn't do. You go, what? Hang on, why are you taking him out of the equation? Because Alex Ferguson could say, okay, he's still got the ability, but the hunger's gone. I'm getting rid of him. And that's what I think there's a lot of fellas in our side that are like, I've done this before. And by the way, it's not quite gone the way it went in 2020. So I'm out of here. And that's what's missing. No, don't
Yeah,
get me
no,
wrong.
that's what annoys me because I've said it like loads of times. Results matter at this end of the season. Performances are secondary to results, and that result's a great result yesterday. And by my thinking, from what I've said, you would think, well, forget about that thing, forget about that performance, and I've forgotten about it quite quickly. Liverpool have 3 points on the board, but the thing is, like, if Liverpool went out there yesterday and performed to 70% of what they can, and they won 4-3, you go, you know what, Spurs got back into it, Liverpool, the odd mistake, but Liverpool didn't. And as much as performances don't matter, I still expect a minimum from Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? I expect Liverpool to give everything and be on it. And some things might go wrong, fine, but yesterday wasn't that. Yesterday was, look, we're 3-0 up and we'll stand off here and we won't press that and we won't chase that and we'll dive into that. And that's not Liverpool. Like
Exactly
if Liverpool dropped off 20% on the 25th minute yesterday, right, but stood in shape, made sure they, cut things out and stuff, you'd be fine. But there's a minimum to where they are, and it wasn't that yesterday for me. It just wasn't.
It's unprofessional.
It was, yeah, I think so, and I think it was a little bit arrogant from Liverpool yesterday, and there's no place for it. I've no problem with Liverpool go out and just shut up the game and say, you know what, we're dropping down to 70% here, but we're just making sure we're not giving that away.
Yeah.
That's easy to do, but they didn't. They kept going out and just sauntering. They actually went out with intensity in the first 25 and then continued to try to do what they were doing, but done it as cantering around the place, and that won't work for you. Moving on though, we'll stay on the losers. Tyler and Neville. Go on, I'll let you go first.
Martin Tyler is a professional gas bag. Listen, and I'll be honest with you. Everybody knows I've got a lot of mates, kind of doing good things with themselves and blah 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 because of the things that I've done. But I think back to, for example, a lot of my Everton friends that are Everton fans. I never knew that, for example, Elton Welsby, when he was working in television all the time, and he was one of the voices you'd hear in British television, I never knew that man was an Everton fan. I just thought he was a man who knew a lot about football. When he because when he commentated, someone scored, he gave it the big push, and he was great. I only found out that Elton Welsby was an Everton supporter about 5 or 6 months ago, when Blue Nose Bob, who's probably my favourite Everton supporter online, everybody knows he's a good man and he's involved in the charity that I like. Basically introduced me to him, and he's one of the main hosts on their Everton space. It's great crack to listen to because they lose their absolute, but he does be the main speaker, and he absolutely despises Liverpool. Like, to the point where you're like, geez, this is terrible. He hates Liverpool and he's Everton crazy. That man worked for 20 odd years, maybe more. And I listened to all the games, a lot of the games he commented, and you never knew because he was a great professional. Martin Tyler is unprofessional. Like, it's you can have Gary Neville and even our Jamie on, and they can be as partisan as they want. But Martin Tyler's job is to be the arbiter and to relate to the fan at home the feeling that they should have at either end of the park. But to say that it's a marked difference, it's borderline, and it's big. Like, again, this is a 72, 73-year-old man, so you almost feel guilty. But he has to go. There's another lad that Liverpool supporters pump up because he commentates on Liverpool and other teams properly. I can't remember the name, but
Peter
it is
Drury.
Peter Drury. Sky Sports should be throwing huge money at him to come in and do the job.
I'd hate him to go to Sky Sports, because the way Sky Sports do things now, Drury would end up falling into the same trap.
Yeah, but Sky Sports, the best years of Sky Sports, again, Andy Gray. I remember the night Liverpool beat Olympiacos, and Andy Gray celebrated Steven Gerrard like this is an Everton ex-player and a man who hates Liverpool, but he celebrated that goal because it was a great goal and it was incredible. It was incredible, and it's a famous "Oh you beauty, take a bow, son." That's what that's from that night. Sky Sports need to get back to that. You can have fellas in the studio. I hate Liverpool. I love Liverpool. You can have all that. But the man in the middle, the voice, it's supposed to be your voice and my voice, the voice that's supposed to be in our heads. He's the one that is responsible for bringing the feeling. And if they kill that, they're killing something about the game, to be honest. And you're right, Gav, to Martin, Gary Neville, listen, do you know what disappoints me more about Gary Neville? Obviously, Manchester United are in an ownership standoff right now. But Gary Neville has been, and you and I have had fights about this. And it turns out that you are right. Because I said that Gary Neville's a great man, Labour, left side, everything that's right. Gary Neville hasn't opened his mouth about the fact that there's a Qatari deal in for Manchester United. He hasn't stood up and said, no, lads, better to keep the Glazers or better to have Jim Ratcliffe and better not to have this. He hasn't opened his mouth because he wants Manchester United to be bought by the same type of regime as what owns Manchester City. And I mean, that's why I would say Gary is my loser. It's called, for me, it's called selective outrage. I mean, I really expected him to be like, no, guys, we cannot have this type of regime. Look what it's done to Man City. Everything that they're doing is meaningless. No, he's, I don't, the Glazers have to go at all costs. It's the lesser of an evil. He's trying to position it that whatever comes in is better. Manchester United have never spent as much money as they have under the Glazers. Do you know what I mean? They knew the deal. They know the type of leverage that the Glazer. We won't go down that rabbit hole. Let's not. But to say that, I mean, Gary Neville, just like everybody, just wants what City have and hates Liverpool, and it's so transparent. So you're right. And if we had these two are, I mean, losers of the week, losers of the season, losers of the decade so far, to be honest.
Project 5am says the grounds from Neville and Tyler when Jota scored were priceless. Now, if you take it back to Aguero's moment in 2012, Martin Tyler is famous for that, right? And it's, Aguero and the whole lot, right? My thing with them is, and always has been, no, not always has been, that would be a lie, right? Gary Neville is a brilliant football pundit. No doubt about it, right? When you stand them on a Monday night in front of the screen with Carragher, whoever, they bring in managers, they bring in ex-managers, they bring in, managers that are out of work, whatever it might be, footballers, ex-footballers, he's excellent, right? Because for me, he's a guy that starts his professional career in the early 90s, okay? Mid-90s, early 94, I think, 95. Yeah. He sees the progression of the Premier League. He's seen the progression of football, right? He's played through it. He finishes in around 2012, maybe, about 10 years ago, maybe. He's seen all that. He's seen the money come in. He's seen the style of play, the style of the man. So he's seen a hell of a lot, right? He hasn't just watched from the outside. He's seen a hell of a lot. Carragher's the same. And when you put, if you told me they were on Monday night, every Monday from 7 to 8, going through whatever it might be tactically, I would watch them, right? I would genuinely watch them because I think they're brilliant, okay? Leon says Neville at the overlap is okay too. The overlap is, I wouldn't go if you paid me, right? Because the personalities on it, I just can't get my head around. But what you're seeing now is, you're right in what you're saying. The commentators are meant to be not impartial. I don't mind a bit of Carragher and Neville watching Liverpool and United. I've no problem with that, right? It becomes a bit fans only issue. Remember they used to do the two fans of the game. Yeah. It becomes a bit of that. But what I find annoying is, and I try to avoid them as much as I can, is when you're watching the game, you might as well, for me, watch Liverpool with two Man United fans sitting beside you. That's what you might as well do, right? Yeah. Because if I go down the pub and I'm watching Liverpool against Spurs, okay, and I put two United fans beside me while I'm watching that, right? It'll all be very doom and gloom, 3-0, and then the excitement gets up and they're having a great time when Spurs score. It's the exact same, I'm telling you. If I was in that pub, and people go on about the grounds and stuff like that, but that's them. Like, Tyler's not a United fan and all, right, whatever. Tyler just has this thing against United, or Liverpool. But Neville, for me, is born and bred Manchester United fan, watching Liverpool, and he's never gone. He will say, that's brilliant from Liverpool, that's brilliant from that, right? But even if you watch him again, Liverpool against United, and Liverpool tear United apart, that's brilliant from Liverpool, but I want to put as many buts in here as I can to demean the actual credit I'm trying to give. And I just don't know how people can watch it. Because honestly, I'd rather just get two Man United mates up beside and go, listen, just sit there, will you, and give me a reaction to Liverpool scoring or not scoring or conceding. Because that's the way it is. And people are paying good money for this.
Yeah.
Like, this is what the thing is. Like, when the whole thing about punditry was, you watched Match of the Day or The Big Match or Saint and Greasy or whatever you watch going back, right? All these for the kids, right? All these shows, right? Even Gillette Soccer Saturday in the early days, right? You watched it because you wanted to know something that you never thought of. Like, I can tell you that fella scored a goal and it was good. But you wanted to find something, you wanted a bit of an insight that made you think. But when you go to watch these people now, all you're thinking is, he doesn't like the team I support. So when he starts to talk about the team I support, what's the point in me listening? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's what I can't get around. And couple that with the way things are going, I find it hard to call them pundits anymore. But couple it with the way things are going, the generation we're in, what you have to do, or you feel you have to do to be relevant or have a reaction, right, or get a reaction. When you couple that with who you're listening to, it's just appalling, Pete. And I love football. If you told me to watch football all day, I would watch it all day. But genuinely, I'd rather watch it on mute. Do you know what I mean? I'd rather fucking stick my favourite album in my ear and watch the game. Because I don't want to hear what they have to say anymore. And I genuinely don't want to listen to people on social media screaming and shouting. Because all they're thinking about is, it doesn't really matter. Or just loads of people will watch this and laugh with me or laugh at me. You know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. And that's why when they come up as loser of the week, I was like, yeah, that's absolutely fine with me. Because again, you know, if this was a brief where you had to show evidence of this going on, it's going on so long now. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you had two people in there that were, I don't know, fucking Southampton and Arsenal fans watching that game, they'd all be like, oh, great goal by Diaz, or geez, that's a great finish from Kane, you know. But one side is just, oh, there's a goal, and you can hear it in Tyler. Liverpool have scored again. Oh, yeah, you know.
I mean, he's not even hiding it. I mean, he referred to Liverpool yesterday as lucky and Spurs as plucky. I mean, it's almost like the first 20 minutes didn't happen, you know. And then, I mean, to be honest, he was borderline racist. He talked about martial arts during the part of the game where Son pulled back. It could have been Gakpo, I think it was. Talked about, it's a martial arts because, you know, he's Asian. I mean, the guy needs to retire. I mean, sometimes people get too old to do certain things. You know, I'd imagine the filter is going. And I have experience with Martin Tyler. I've met him. He was director of football at Kingstonian Football Club when I was at Walton Casuals. I lived in London. We played against him. And he's an old, I won't use the C word, but that's what he is. He's not a nice man. And he's a Chelsea supporter, by the way. But he's really a horrible, cantankerous man.
I
And that's
just
15
and
years ago.
but I don't care who they support.
No, me neither.
What I'm
Me
saying is,
neither.
like, I support
Well,
Liverpool, right?
But let him retire. He's getting too old. He's getting too old. Simple.
But I support Liverpool, right? And if I'm watching a game, like, I know if I'm watching United against, say, Villa, right? I get more excited by a Villa goal. I know that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not fucking being paid to watch these games. I'm not paying to go onto your screen and give you insight and make it as exciting as you can. Like, they're genuinely being sent in there now to annoy people. That's what I feel it is. But look,
But you're right.
I know. We're probably wasting our time because, like, the way football is going, right? Financially, the way football is going, pundit-wise, the way it's going, in loads of different ways, we're never going to stop it. Do you know what I mean? We're just not going to stop it. But I think it's okay to be turned around and go, this is fucking brutal. Do you know what I mean? As much as the game of football might be brutal, I'm literally watching games now and I'm trying to mute them and I'm trying to find them with different commentators on them and stuff, because I'm not saying they should jump around and fucking let off fireworks and Liverpool score a goal, but at least go, get it. If you're going to get as excited about this player scoring for this team, do the same for that team. Do you know what I mean?
Professional. Like I said to you, the point I made earlier was Elton Welsby. Elton Welsby, I'm telling you, is as partisan blue nose as you. I never knew. I was genuinely shocked because he was such a good pro and he's very reactive on Twitter. But his Twitter, his whole Twitter profile, everything this, everything that. He hates Liverpool. But as I said, he presented his show for years and you just never knew.
Yeah.
You never knew because
I don't know. I think I don't like someone else says there. In fairness to Tyler, he's garbage on every game, not just Liverpool. But the funny thing is, when Martin Tyler tells you what's going on in a football game, I'm absolutely fine with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it's the references, like he listen to him closely, bar the goals. Just that's all I'm going to say to people. Listen to him closely, bar the goals. Right now, the other thing yesterday, the other thing that annoyed me was, your man should be sent off for Spurs, right? And it's like, oh, it's not the best, and it's kind of a bit, and I'm kind of going, well, just say it what it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Just say what it is, and it's not. Everything seems to be influenced by something else, and that's not what they're there for. You know what I mean? That's just not what they're there for. Tyler doesn't have a patch on the likes of Peter Drury or John Motson to be fair.
John Motson, the best who ever did. Brian Moore and John Motson and Jimmy McGee, the best three people. Then probably Eamon Andrews, the best four people ever to call a sport in my experience. Eamon Andrews, with the boxing. Jimmy McGee with everything because he knew everything. God bless him. And Brian Moore and John Motson. Brian Moore at the World Cup. John Motson for the domestic game. Case closed.
Lazo says, just listen to BBC 5 live commentary on the radio if it's the same game. Not perfect, but as good as it gets. To be honest with you, I usually watch it on American TV, and if I can't, I'll just mute it. I'm being honest with you, especially after yesterday. Last winner that came in was Jurgen Klopp, winner of the weekend. Now, there's a lot going on here, P. He just doesn't like Paul Tierney, and Paul Tierney just doesn't like him. And I don't know how Paul Tierney's still refereeing Liverpool games, because honestly, if this was Manchester United and Alex Ferguson in charge, Paul Tierney wouldn't get it within 5 miles of fucking Old Trafford. Never mind reffing the games, right? But that's where we are. Jurgen Klopp has a go at the fourth official yesterday. He gets booked for it. Jurgen Klopp then says, well, I took me booking because I deserved it. In the moment, the heat of the moment, I went up to the fourth official. I deserved it. I took the yellow card. But what Paul Tierney said to me while he was giving me the yellow card was not on. The PGMOL have said, well, we've listened back and we're absolutely fine with what Paul done. He acted in a professional manner. Nobody knows what was said because the PGMOL, grey areas, and that is the grey area in this instance. But I've seen some Liverpool fans saying, Klopp was a bit silly. It was funny that he pulled his hamstring, celebrating the game, but or celebrating the goal. And I've seen a couple of Liverpool fans saying, it was a bit silly what he done, blah, 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 blah. But I have no problem with this. I have no problem with this because I'm sitting there, right? The gas thing is, for me, and I don't know if you agree, Jurgen Klopp is behaving, right, on that pitch exactly as I would behave if I was in the ground. And I am at home going, what the fuck is going on here? What that decision, what is and he's letting it get the better of him. Now, you could throw that against Jurgen Klopp because he has let it get the better of him. But are you okay with Klopp fighting these wars? Because I think it's a really good sign that he's fighting these wars and he's quite happy to. And bringing on the next round with Paul Tierney.
Yeah, you want your manager to be invested. Alex Ferguson was invested for every day of the 26 years he was there. And by all accounts, he had better control, as you quite rightly pointed out, over the PGMOL. And they were actually beholden to him. He'd make a phone call and say, listen, I don't think that it's appropriate to send that referee here again. And that referee wouldn't be sent. They used to send Howard Webb because he liked Howard Webb. It's that simple. I think it's still there's a lot of xenophobia and jealousy. I don't think approaching a referee or a fourth official in his face. But listen, Paul Tierney is the one who blew up while Sadio Mane, 30 seconds early in the game, while Sadio Mane was clear through on goal against Manchester United. Paul Tierney is the one who sent off, rightly, Andy Robertson in a game against Tottenham Hotspur, and for an identical challenge, probably worse, failed to do the same for Harry Kane. Paul Tierney is the one who consistently apparently has things to say about at Liverpool, and apparently what he said to Jurgen Klopp as he was booking him yesterday was unacceptable. But of course, the PGMOL will tell you, it was perfectly acceptable what he said, but they won't tell you what he said. There's as I keep saying, there's a lack of transparency and accountability that you don't get in Australia, you don't get in Germany, but you get in the UK, because the Brits don't want to be held accountable or answerable for anything. That's their culture, and that's acceptable until it's not acceptable. And and Jurgen Klopp is scratching his head yesterday in the interview saying, for some reason, this is the only country I've ever seen where there's no accountability for authority. And he's right. He's right. It's absolutely ridiculous. If he said something yesterday and now everyone's asking, well, what was said? It's because he wants the question to be asked.
Well, the thing is, Kevin Sullivan says he's so glad that he said what he said because it's needed calling it for a long time. These refs, zero accountability. Whatever Klopp said got him a booking. He was punished. He was punished for what he done, which was a booking. What his argument is that I took the booking. I got my punishment. And when I was being dealt that punishment, what was said by the figure of authority was not on. Now, the PGMOL said they come out and they'll back Paul Tierney. And then, fairly soon after that, came out and said, we reviewed the audio and Paul acted in a completely professional manner. And everything is absolutely fine.
Tell us what he said.
Tell us what he said. Exactly. I keep talking about this and I keep saying it. And maybe I should stop, right? But every situation they find themselves in, they have a grey area over here that they will all funnel into, stand there and wait in that grey area until everything passes. And again, yesterday, right, something is said by a manager and the grey area is, we reviewed the audio, that's it, we're done. Right? But again, do you know what I'm saying, Pete? Whether it's a bad decision, right? Whether you feel that your man Skip should be sent off yesterday, right? Was it checked? Right? Now, Kevin Sullivan was saying something yesterday, and I don't know, and I'm not doubting Kevin Sullivan, but he said, if VAR look at that and don't think it's a red card, you don't even have to refer it to him. So, basically, Paul Tierney doesn't see the tackle, right? Doesn't see it. It goes on. VAR look at it and go, oh, fuck, that's a red. You have to call him back. If they don't think it's a red, they don't even have to say it to him. Instead of saying, Paul, we've seen that. Do you want to go and have a look at it? You make the decision on it. You were blindsided. Fine, right? But again, we're sitting here asking questions about VAR, and the biggest thing out of it all is all the information is not on the table. All of the information. But When they make a decision, they have all the information in front of them, but they are not willing to give you all the information back as to
And
how
that's
the
the
decision was made. It's a grey area no matter fucking what happens. And the guy a couple of weeks ago, me and you done a show after it, where he elbows Andy Robertson, right? And the grey area was, he had a positive discussion with Andy Robertson and blah, 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 and no further details. I'm sorry, but if a player elbows someone tomorrow and he gets sent off for it, 3-game ban, and goes and says, by the way, I've had a positive discussion with the fellow I've elbowed, and it turns out he's got all right with it. They're not turning away the ban. So the grey area all the time, they will find an area that they can get themselves into where they don't have to take responsibility, where the shields are up, and we'll get 80 to 90% of the information, and we'll get bullshit the other side of it, and that's it. And the likes of your man Gallagher on Sky and the other fella on BT, Walton, is it? On BT. They don't help it. They don't help it.
They're just circling
because they're given their opinion, and I lose that lightly again. They're giving their opinion on situations, right? But again, they always have a fallback of some sort. Everybody in this game has to take responsibility for what they're doing. Managers, footballers, fans, above everyone, has to take responsibility for what they do, right? Right? And we've seen that in chanting and stuff that's gone on. Responsibility has to be brought on clubs and fans, right? Players, managers, chairmen, directors of football, whoever it might be, except for the fella standing there refereeing on a Saturday. He doesn't have to fucking tell you fuck all.
And it's true. And listen, I know I get hammered for saying it, but it's a typical British attitude to authoritarianism. It's the way they are. They can help themselves. And there are a certain amount of people who are all right with it. So you'll never hear really Arsenal supporters, Spurs supporters, Chelsea supporters. You won't really hear them complain about the authorities. They'll just complain about the opposition. So Arsenal are complaining about Manchester City now. They won't complain where they should have gone. It's fans from the north, Liverpool, Manchester fans, that will complain about the authority because it's their culture to say, listen, the authority is not being transparent here, and their actual living culture permeates their sporting culture. It's until this won't change until society in general says, listen, everybody must be held accountable. Everybody. I mean, you look, next week they're going to coronate a king, and they're going to spend hundreds of millions, and they're going to say to everyone that you need to ring a certain bell, and the national anthem is going to be played, and
ringing bells.
And Liverpool fans or whatever.
I seen them moving some sort of brick yesterday.
Liverpool fans are going to boo. So that's what we're going to do. And of course, everybody will point at Liverpool fans and say they're an absolute disgrace. But nobody will talk about why they're booing. Nobody will talk about why they feel that way about authority and about the royal family, because they don't want to open that can of worms, which would be transparent. And that's the whole problem.
And that's on a much bigger scale. And in fairness to, you call it a British thing. I think when it comes down to the refereeing, I think it is a British thing. I think around the world that situation is in loads of countries. Where France, if you don't fucking tell us what's going on in France, we'll just riot until you tell us.
Why? It's their culture. These people beheaded their royals because they didn't want to live like that. Marie Antoinette said, "Let them eat cake," and they decided, "No, we'll take your head instead." And they have égalité, fraternité. They had their revolution. That's the difference. They won't accept that anybody is more important. And I'm not saying I don't want to see anybody lose their head, but pejoratively speaking, they need to have a revolution in England where everybody is held accountable for their actions.
Yeah,
that's it.
Paul Giovanni asks, and I'm sure it's been asked loads of times, right? Can we request he never refs a game for us again? We absolutely can, yeah. But what I think would happen is they'd make sure he was on more of our games.
Of course.
Because they're independent, and they independently assign the Premier League and the FA have fuck all to do with them. They just turn up and go, this is where we're going, this is where we're going, right? And honestly, you would get more games with Paul Tierney in charge. But
that's what happens.
But the thing is, like, we're seeing things like, we wrote to such a club yesterday to say we're sorry about that, right? But if that's more annoying. If you were more transparent on the day as to the process of how you made that decision, right? Okay, you might still make the wrong decision, right? And you might still have to write the letter. But people don't spend 24 hours losing the fucking plot for you to write a letter, right? And not only that, if you think that everything you're saying and every process you're going through is being beamed out there for people to see, mic up refs, etc., it might make you think a bit more clearly. It might make you think, hold on, like last week I could have done this and we'd write a letter, but this week, hold on, I just can't do that. It's complacency in what they're doing because, like I said, the grey area is always there. But
they're not
you
comfortable, Gav. They're not comfortable with it. Today, Liverpool played Spurs at Anfield and drew 2-2, and Harry Kane, I think, got 2 penalties. And the referee, basically, you could hear them over a microphone. It wasn't you. I don't know if maybe it was an experiment.
no, what happened there was there wasn't VAR.
Yeah.
A ball was played through, and they were trying to walk out. Harry Kane got taken down. And what they were trying to say was he offside? And the argument was, if Lovren played the ball, he's onside. If Lovren didn't play the ball, he's offside. The referee goes over to the linesman and says, what do you think? The linesman says, I don't know who touched that ball. I couldn't see. He asks, he radios to the fourth official to say, did you see it? He's told no, and he hadn't seen the footage, right? And he just decides, oh, well, I'm giving it then.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of saying, hold on, I can't give that penalty because I don't know if that defender touched it. Right? And that's where it started off. Right? But
and that's why it terrifies them, Gav, about accountability.
Correct.
Correct. Terrifying. Because accountability exposes you to the awful reality that you may have made a mistake, and that's the part that they can't countenance.
Yeah, I think it's I just think it's horrendous, and like people think I'm against VAR. I'm not against VAR. I'm against the people in charge of it, the processes, and why we can't. If they want all the information in the world to make a decision, why can't we have all the information as to why they made that decision? We mightn't agree with it, but at least we know. Look, at least you're getting an argument. You know, I can argue with you every day of the week about something in the pub. I can sit in the pub all day with you, fucking sitting up at the bar, ordering pints of Guinness, me and you all fucking day, arguing about whatever. Now, I'll argue my point and you'll argue yours, right? Okay? And that's fine. We mightn't agree on it. But if I'm sitting up there arguing my point and you're telling me nothing as to how you got to your fucking opinion,
exactly,
what's the point? Do you know what I mean? And that's where it is. But Nigel says you guys have amazing memories. Yeah, we've deep enough memories, I think. But Jurgen Klopp, I think the biggest thing to come out is Jurgen Klopp looks fired up here. Jurgen Klopp doesn't look like a man that, in all probability, he's not going to get the Champions League this season, and he looks down and he looks a bit bleak and it's a bit... Jurgen Klopp looks like, I'm going to go and try to win every game here. And regardless, I'm going to be ready to go next season. And his biggest thing is, he wants this team... People don't want to play against this team anymore. That's where he wants to get them to. So, fighting these little wars is a good sign, isn't it?
Of course it is. I mean, listen, after 8 years in the job, you might question his motivation, you might question his attitude, you might think, is his mind somewhere else? No. That man already has his short list of players that he knows will come in and completely change his team, invigorate it. You know, right now, we're not even getting 45 minutes out of midfield players. We just aren't. You know, we're not in terms of energy and commitment. He knows what that man is thinking. I can't wait to get. You can see by the energy, and rival fans hate it. They want them banned. And the more rivals talk about Klopp, the more I mean, we're in what 7th position. Do you know what I mean?
5th
and
now.
Rival, yeah, but do you know what I mean? Rival fans are still clamoring for him to be, punish this, punish it, which tells me that they all know this season has been a complete anomaly. For everybody, but for Liverpool more than anybody. And it's just a case of getting it right, to be quite honest with you. And he's still very much the man to get that right. I think, to be honest with you, I admired him. I was a little bit concerned, Gav, about him covering for the owners insofar as not supporting them financially to bring in 2 midfield players that we needed, to be honest with you, because it reminded me of when Arsene Wenger towards the end was covering for Arsenal, when they really needed a goalkeeper. After Lehmann, they had so many problems, and ultimately he lost his job really because of it. But I don't think that that's the case. I did think, oh God, is it just another Arsene Wenger job? Are they going? Is he going down that road? No, I think it has been agreed. Maybe they thought we don't need to invest quite yet. But for me, the World Cup would have been the biggest two. Of course, we need energy and bodies. But he looks to me like a man who's just full of the chutzpah that's needed to go on and do what we are going to do next year. You know, which is what we always do from positions like if we know European football next year, great. Let's go and just challenge for the league, win the league. We did it. We did it before. Whenever we've got no European football, we're very, very dangerous. So 2 or 3 signings in there, it's a different outfit.
Europa League looks more likely than anything. I can see him actually pulling a load of players off loan next season and saying, right, you're in the Europa League squad, and what you'll probably see in a lot of Europa League teams will be probably 4 or 5 first team players, 4 or 5 around the fringes, and probably one kind of wild card, and a few more of those on the bench. Because I think you're right. I think he's going to go and he's going to make splashes this summer. He has to. There's just no way around it. And I think when he does that, genuinely, the Premier League will get everything thrown at it next season. Absolutely everything. Everything will be tailored around it. Europa League won't be a distraction of what a Champions League will be. I'd love the distraction of the Champions League, but we've probably left it a bit too late. But I won't give up on it until it's impossible. But I think, although it's not the ideal thing and it's not where we want to be, I think he will use it to throw everything he has at the Premier League next season to put himself back in that position going into the final, what would be 2 seasons of his current Liverpool contract. I hope it goes on beyond that, but let's see. I've really enjoyed that. An hour and an hour and 6, not bad. The charity is breast cancer research. I say it at the end of every show. Most people start turning off now, but that's fair enough. Link is in the description. Donate if you can. If you can't, share it amongst all your friends, your family, your colleagues. If you want to donate, if you want to sponsor something on the day of the golf, you can. You can sponsor golf holes. You can sponsor long drives, nearest the pin competitions we're doing. You can do any of that. LFC Daytrippers at gmail.com. If you want to donate a prize for the raffle that night, you can do that. Same email address. Or if you're too lazy and you say, here, I'll throw them 50 quid and they can buy the prizes, by all means, LFCDaytrippers at gmail.com. We will take the payment off you. We will buy the prizes and we will send you back the receipt for the tax man or whoever, or your ma that gave you the end of the money, wherever it was. But listen, it's been difficult this year. I keep saying it's been very difficult because times are hard to try raise money for this. Everyone behind the scenes is working literally every day on it. And as Bill Kenroy said, I'm ringing Fahad Mashiri hourly about this. I'm not really, but I'm working harder than Bill fucking Kenroy is. I can tell you that for nothing. We're trying our best. That's in June. They don't run the marathon. The girls don't run the marathon until October. They have stuff coming up. We've stuff coming up in May. We've the golf day in June. We've another thing coming in July. So nearly every month we've something on. So if you can help us out, absolutely. LFC Daytrippers at gmail.com. And we will follow up ASAP. Anything else before we go, Pete?
No, just backing you up on the breast cancer awareness charity. Please, guys, follow the link. As Gav says, times are hard, but some people are facing the fact that they may not be around, and a lot of those people have children, and have a chance at survival. So help them. Every penny for people like that counts, to be honest with you. And I know how hard Gav works at all of this. He's changed lives, literally changed lives in the few years that I've been involved. So please help the ball to keep rolling.
Yeah. And look, we will get to the 20 grand, whether it takes us till that marathon is run or 6 months after that. We won't stop until we get to it, because that's how we roll. But like I said, we always want to get to that target as quick as we can. Not that we can just say, we're done, but it allows us to go on and help somebody else. So there's two sides to this all the time. But look, that has been winners and losers. We're off tomorrow night because we need a break. I need a break, genuinely. I'm just editing stuff all over the shop. So we're off tomorrow night. Liverpool play Fulham Wednesday night. We will be back with full-time Reds for that. I think the 3 lads might be on Wednesday night. I know Chris and Kev certainly are. I'm just waiting on word back from Matt. But the 3 lads might be on Wednesday. Thursday, we're hoping to do a viewer's voice. Friday will be Premier League forecast. Saturday will be full-time Reds. after Liverpool play Brentford, I think, Saturday. And Sunday we will have the Fatback 4. Yeah. Like, subscribe, comment, turn your notifications on, check out Bang Average Golf, check out the charity, bookmakers.com, do all that sort of stuff. And we'll see you very soon. Thanks a million to Pete, thanks a million to everyone in the chat, and anyone listening afterwards, enjoy the audio that you're listening to, and you can give us a 5-star review on that as well. Talk to you in a bit. Over now.